morning, peeps. Welcome to another vlog. Hold on one sec. Let me try a little something. That's better, sorry. First thing that I'd like to say is summer has officially hit the great Canadian North. We are officially dealing with weather that is around 27, 28 degrees Celsius here in Ontario, and it's a great blessing because we don't get this temperature for very long. But today we got a job that I went to a couple of weeks back, and here's what happened. When I initially went in, I was told that there was a major leak taking place, and I looked underneath where the water closet was from the floor below, and there was a tremendous amount of mold already on that drywall there. I cut out that drywall just to inspect the water closet to see that it was in fact the water closet that was leaking. I ended up sorting that out, patching that up, and it went great. Lo and behold, at the end of last week, I get a call from the same customer saying, you know what, we're having a major leak in another section of the bathroom, so now I have to go back and see if maybe there's something that's compromised there as well, and we're gonna have to try to recreate the leak essentially to see what exactly is going on. So it appears that the leak was happening from two areas. One was the water closet and one was somewhere else. So today's gonna be a troubleshooting kind of day. So peeps, let's get to work. Let's have some fun. Oh, and by the way, peeps, you know what to do, baby. Let's go do some delicious plumbing. Whenever I troubleshoot, I always start with the macro before moving to the micro. So I start by observing the entire fixture and the state of it. Does the bathtub look like it's in bad shape? How about the shower control valve? Then I zoom into the details or the micro. Do the trim plates have gaps behind them? Do the tiles have cracks? Is the silicone sound? These are my first impressions before I even touch the water. You see, I'm setting up a game plan. I need to find the red flags, and once I do, I then proceed to the drain. So then I move back to the macro. I test the biggest sections of the drain and the shower. We have to get those out of the way. They are the most obvious places where leaks can come from. Once I prove they are or are not watertight, I then either do a repair or I don't. But inevitably, I move back to the micro to then test the red flags that I saw before. The hardest thing I had to grasp as an apprentice was that a fixture can be leaking from multiple locations, and my job as a plumber is to test that without contamination. And what I mean by contamination is that if I test everything at once, there can be so much water that I won't know the source of it. So I need to isolate each part as best as I can to inevitably find each source of potential leak. Overall, the drain reacted really well. There was no source of leak coming from it, which led me to testing the red flags, which were the silicone and the trim plates. All you have to do now is turn on the water and start spraying them, sit back and wait to see if you see any water from down below. Bingo, the silicone is compromised. Take a closer look at the water. Now that we figured that out, let's also test the trim plates. Bingo again, the trim plates also are letting water through. That is the result of taking things one step at a time. That is a result of testing things methodically. If I had started by testing the drain and simultaneously testing the silicone and the trim plates, I wouldn't be able to figure out if it was in fact the drain, if it was in fact the trim plates, if it was in fact the silicone. So by doing things one at a time, I'm able to compartmentalize each section of potential leak. And now that we know both the trim plate and the silicone are leaking, let's go ahead and take our time to seal them up. And just like that, we have one call down and we're heading out to another one. But quickly, just to talk about what happened in there, that's an example of something so small, the slightest crack in the silicone, where we started noticing water when we would spray water on that area specifically. Now the question becomes, does the bathtub have a lip? Because a lot of modern bathtubs, what you'll notice is they round the edge and then they actually lip upwards so that the drywall can go right on top of this lip, adding another layer of protection in order to make sure no leak is coming from downstairs. But if you looked at this bathtub, it's significantly older than ones I've seen before. So in other words, I don't know how old this bathtub is. It could be over 20, over 30, over 40 years old. It's extremely hard to get green bathtubs nowadays. There was a point in time where they used to make bathtubs in all sorts of different colors so you can match your toilet with them, you can match your tiles with them. I've seen bathtubs and toilets that are the exact same color. They bought them as a set, but that doesn't happen anymore. I know modern water closets. We had one customer that wanted to get a black water closet. It was going to cost him like $1,000 to get this thing, and the only difference is that it's a different color. That's it. Aside from that, it was just a regular, I think, American standard toilet, whatever. But because of the color, would have racked him up an additional like $600. When I was first starting off in my apprenticeship, I didn't pay attention to cracks at all. I didn't care for cracks. I always thought it was going to be a drain issue that was causing the leak. It wasn't until later into my apprenticeship that I came to realize the smallest crack can actually cause the largest damage. So what you really have to do is be methodical in the way that you solve the problem. I opted to use two different types of silicone here. I use clear silicone. That's the one we typically use, we're most comfortable with. It's kind of low visibility. It doesn't really catch the eye as much as the white silicone, but I did put on white silicone around the tub only to make it consistent with the rest of the silicone around the tub. That's the only reason. I typically stay away from white silicone if I can, in other words. Look for potential areas that water can go in, and then all you can do after that is do your best. And now let's go on to another job site. Job site right now. I'm going to show you what we need to tackle, and I'm going to have to come back tomorrow to do it because it's very close to the time that our suppliers close, so I'm not going to be able to get to it today. But here's what's going to happen. When they were trying to replace the floor, the customer ended up grabbing the flange and it just completely fell off. And that is the other ABS pipe in there that's supposed to connect to. One thing that I want to say is that using an MJ coupling in this application from the height of this hole right here isn't something that I want to do. If you even take a look at the way the MJ was connected, the connections are faced downwards, right? So you have to thread it upwards. If the flange is upright in the correct fashion, you have to get underneath basically this pipe in order to thread it upwards to tighten this. So, I mean, one option is to just put this back in, rearrange it so that we can put it in with the threads upwards, and then you can thread it down. But the truth is I don't have a lot of space under there in order to get my hand in so I can crank it. It's going to be a little bit of a nightmare. What I would prefer to do is go straight ABS to ABS. So in other words, buy a coupling, a 3-inch coupling, and refabricate the exact same dimensions here. Like if you look at this flange right here, it's a little bit on the age side, right? It looks like it looks like it's seen better days, right? So what I'm gonna do tomorrow is I'm gonna pop out to the supplier, I'm gonna grab a new flange, I'm gonna grab a new 90, and then I'm gonna get a coupling for that section right there. I'm gonna refabricate all these heights. These heights should be perfectly fine the way we need them. So this height specifically should be good. And we are just gonna have to work with a new height basically in there. One thing I didn't account for was the vertical height was going to change for this flange. That's because they were going to put in an additional subfloor, which means that they were going to raise the floor up with an additional section of plywood. So what you'll actually see me do is get the exact height of plywood that they're going to put on top of this floor so that I can find my final measurement for the flange itself. That way I can cap the drain and come back at a later date to install the flange. You see, if I don't cap the drain and I just glue my flange in immediately, then the subfloor would have to be cut into 2 pieces to fit around the flange. Or some installers will actually cut out the size of the flange to fit right over the flange. But what you really want to do is to secure the flange to the subfloor itself. So in order to ensure a strong base for the flange, we glued in last so the subfloor is still one solid piece. Peeps, I hope this video was useful and gave you a bit of knowledge. Please do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below and that bell notification. We are doing our best to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2021. Please help us on this journey. Smash that thumbs up button, share this with friends, and I'll see you plumbers very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.